Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Success Without Sacrifice show. And today we're going to talk about the biggest reasons why successful women are unable to enjoy the very success you've earned and how you can change that in the year ahead. Stay tuned. All right, we are back. I'm Kate Byers, and I'm with Jadine Cleary, our Director of Performance Coaching at the Good Life Institute. And today we are talking about the biggest reasons why you are unable to enjoy your hard-won success and how this can change in the year ahead. I don't know if you are a woman who has risen to a level in your career where the pressure is intense. Like maybe you're an executive, you're a surgeon, partner in a law firm, management consulting. Like these are really tough gigs, right? Or maybe you don't carry that title, but nonetheless, you are successful. You've got a great income, high value job. You've worked hard to get, the great house, the great family, your paper, on life, your paper is fantastic is what I mean, right? Maybe you can relate to both of these. So whatever it is, like this show is for you. And you're probably saying to yourself, something has got to change. I cannot face another year killing myself at work, but what else can I do, right? Like if you step back, you lose all the hard work and opportunities a well-paid career affords you, but you also lose out on the impact that you're destined to have. And you're probably thinking, if I could just have a few hours a week to do the strategic work I need to do, that would change my life. Or maybe this year is the year you're going to, focus on your health. Make sure you get to the doc appointments, the workout. Maybe you want to prioritize the loved ones, right? Like those relationships get strained really easily if we're not focused on those. So if you are looking around at all the other exhausted, depleted, successful women at the top and you're thinking, Kate, you're nuts. It's impossible to have a life at this level without a huge trade-off. I would tell you that you're absolutely correct in believing this, right? Like the way women have been taught to be successful, it isn't working, but it is absolutely possible. And that's what we are going to be talking about in this show and particularly on today's episode. So Jadine, it's great to have you here. As a former competitive sport coach, you've developed athletes to medals at 3 world championships and the Olympics. You've also coached top executives at the White House. So you know firsthand how grueling it can be to operate in a high pressure environment. So welcome. I'm glad to have you here to co-host the show today.
Kate, thank you so much. It's great to be here. And I agree with you. There's such an important opportunity right now for women globally for leadership positions. And a lot of women are stepping back from those positions, not because they don't think they can do it, but they don't think they can do it and have their life. And absolutely, we will show you how you can lean in to have your best dream life and also thrive while you make it happen.
So the very first thing, ladies, that we have to remember is that we are working in an outdated model of success. And that outdated model was great 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago. Probably then it was pretty unhealthy. But this whole idea that we have to really suffer for success, like you don't deserve success unless it's really tough, that was given to us. That was given to us in our childhood. That was given to us by the baby boomers and people way before us. Like how many of you listening honestly believe that you need to make your bed before you go out to play? Or you better eat your peas and carrots before you have a cookie? And while obviously we can't just, glide through life playing all the time, what we have never been taught to do is the importance of understanding that to really thrive at the top, and I'm talking about thriving at the top, not just getting to the top, thriving at the top where it is sustainable and long-term, you have to get rid of that thinking. So the very first thing is you have to change your thinking. If you think it's going to be hard, guess what? It's going to be hard because subconsciously you're going to be making it hard. And then what happens is we create all these excuses. Like I started working at the age of 11. I've always loved to work. Nothing wrong with that. It's creative. I love problem solving. But what happens is we just get into this habit and this psychological belief that it's got to be hard or we don't deserve the success. And I used to wear this honestly like a badge of honor. I mean, I would walk down the hallway going, there is nobody here that's going to work harder than Kate. There is nobody here who is going to take on bigger, tougher challenges. I will show them how valuable I am because I will do all the tough stuff. I mean, I can remember being, really young in my career and, people would take vacation and I would cover for them. I covered for everybody's vacation. Guess how many vacations I took? Like 0. I have worked through bronchitis. I have worked through pneumonia. And what happens is that it works for us, right? Like I was promoted to become an officer of $1 billion company. I was a VP by the age of 30. That is insane. I have no business being a VP at 30. I had no clue what I was doing, right? But it works for you but what we think is because we're working so hard. And we think, oh my gosh, we've suffered. And now I'm whatever, a VP, a CEO, a high-ranking director, whatever it is for you, a surgeon. And you get there and you think, look at me, I've arrived. Now it's going to get easy. And then it doesn't. And you're going, okay, what happened? Where's the good life, right? Because what we were programmed to believe is you work really hard and you eat your peas and carrots, you're going to get all these cookies. But think about that. You don't really. You get one cookie. You get a moment in time, and then you got to eat more peas and carrots. And so women especially, we have come to believe that if we are not suffering for our success, if we are not proving ourselves, if we are like, never let them see you sweat, don't you dare fail. Like this mindset, if you're nodding your head right now and you're listening to this show and you're like, oh my gosh, that's me, that has to go away. Because if you cannot buy into this idea that success, I don't care who you see around you, I don't care if your boss is a workaholic, I don't care if your company culture is 24/7, up and out. It doesn't matter. We work with women from management consulting firms that are, pretty brutal. We work with surgeons who have, brutal schedules. We work with, partners in law firms, like very client-based industries where you can't just tell the client to, buzz off or whatever. It doesn't matter. When you start to believe that success can be fun, you can thrive, sure, it's going to be full, sure, you're going to have a lot going on, but if you believe it must be hard, it will always be hard. And I will tell you, like, I was genius at coming up with coping mechanisms. I would say, like, I would tell my husband, I was like, I'm in marketing, right? Like my background is in corporate marketing. And what you come to believe is that corporate marketing is the problem, because in marketing, it's a lot of gray matter. It's creative. I'm problem solving at night. I can't snuggle with you on the couch, honey. I'm in marketing. I don't have, I don't know, like pick some other, I'll say accounting. Like everyone in accounting is working their buns off too. But you know what I mean? I'd be like, I'm not in accounting. I can't just put numbers on a spreadsheet and walk away. I have to keep thinking. And that's not really what it is. You really can think and get your work done and be creative and get all of that done in the space of a good day. Then I would say like, oh, it's international. I'm working with, teams in Asia and teams in Eastern Europe. And so I have to like bookend my day with all these late nights and early mornings. And so what happens is because this thought process has been embedded in us, we start to believe that we don't deserve success or that success is not possible unless it is attached to a lot of hard work, which is then attached to a lot of suffering and sacrifice. Jadine, I would love to know from you, like, what have you seen in a lot of the work that you've been doing?
I completely agree with you that few people are willing to break the mold because they don't believe they can be successful without that struggle. And so we create these coping strategies that keep us stuck because it's the only way we know how to perform. And I'm reminded of this athlete we worked with, and her name is Emily. And Emily, even from a very young age, she was that athlete who would sit. I remember her. She would sit on the edge of the pool like this, and she would watch all of her teammates hustling and doing everything that the coaches were asking them to do and more, because they didn't know exactly what they were doing for success. So they were just doing whatever they thought and more. And Emily was very selective about what she felt she needed to work on. And so she bugged some people. But anyway, the thing that she did well is she was intelligent about performance. So she would study, and then she would jump in and she would perform with ease because she wasn't exhausted. And she would strategize what was the most important area for her to put her energy. And I know some people may be listening to this story and thinking, well, Emily is a unicorn, right? Like she's just so uber talented. And we've seen those people in our career and we're like, I don't want to be them, or I don't have the talent to be them. And it's true, Emily was a unicorn, but not necessarily because of her talent, but because she saw from a young age how you can be intelligent about performance and not just be a hustler. And Emily continued to hone her skills, and she actually just led the Canadian Olympic team at the last Olympics. And she was so good at that ability that she was not only a member of the team, she led the team in that structure. So here's the thing that's possible, even as an executive, when you learn how to be intelligent about performance, you no longer are a hustler. You actually get to decide where you put your energy, and you no longer have to struggle for the success. It becomes a privilege to go after that success.
I love that, because one of the things I did when I stepped back from my career and, I went to live on an island, and I thought the simple life was going to be the answer, which, again, it was cool, but it was not the answer to how I really wanted to live my life, is I began studying, it was just an extension of what I'd always done, as human behavior. And I looked at people who looked like the rare unicorns, like Richard Branson, I think is a great example, Sarah Blakely. Like, these are people who are uber successful in the way we define success in our societies, but the way they got there was they played their way to the top. Like, they were like, Richard Branson did not become a billionaire and then all of a sudden start having fun in his life and start refreshing himself and taking care of himself and taking care of his relationships. Like, he did that from the beginning. And Sarah Blakely is the same story. It's really, you can come at success this way regardless of your environment. But you have to learn how to do it, because sadly, we are not taught that. It is not indicative in our achievement, workaholic sort of cultures. So that really brings me to the second point, ladies, is that, the second strategy you've got to put into place is understanding that you have chosen to have a big life. Right? You are not average Jane. You will never be happy being average Jane. That's why I wasn't happy when I went to live on an island. Like, it was gorgeous and all that, but I'm like, okay, I am designed to do big things. It is how I think. I'm sitting on the island and I'm like, re-merchandising the dive shop and going, wow, if we move the sunglasses, we'll have more retail space for, the high ticket sweatshirts. And my husband's like, oh my God, would you stop? Like, when you are designed this way, you are not going to be happy with an average Jane life. But the way we're operating in our careers is just sort of like floating through and trying all these surface level strategies to refresh ourselves. This all or nothing, work till you drop, wait till the weekend, and then we can refresh ourselves. Again, that was fine decades ago because that's how everybody worked. But it doesn't work, because what happens when you get to the weekend is you're just continuing to do stuff around your house or other things. We don't ever stop to refresh ourselves. And that means that your success is not sustainable. If you want to play a big game and you want to do it sustainably and you want to stay at the top, then you have to know how to operate at peak performance. And that comes from understanding how to meet your emotional needs, your psychological needs, and your physical needs. It does not mean you have to start doing yoga every day. Like, it just drives me nuts when people be like, oh, go do some yoga and you'll feel better. Of course you will. I love yoga. I am not dissing on yoga. I love yoga. But the point is that's just like one strategy that may or may not work for you. And if you can't figure out the time to find time to do yoga, that's not going to give you the effect, which is a clearer mind, a clear emotional state, and feeling refreshed. So if yoga is not it, what else are you going to do? And when you understand human behavior and you understand how to operate in a peak performance state, then all of those things melt away. Like, it's the very first thing we teach every single woman we work with. They come in depleted. They come in working 70, 80 hours a week. They come in feeling stuck, emotionally just like, ugh, like, what's the point? And we go, okay, the very first thing we're going to do is put your oxygen mask on and get you feeling energetic, vitality, feeling energized again about your life. We don't even change your schedule. They're still working 70 hours a week, and it doesn't matter, because when you understand how to get the emotional and psychological effects from being in peak performance mode, taking small breaks throughout the day, doing things that really nourish you. Maybe you need some more autonomy. Maybe it's a little bit of health. Maybe it's connection. Maybe you need to step away because you had a fight with your teenager in the morning, and that will eat at you all day unless you step away from a meeting for 10 minutes and send your teen, a video or, something fun, or I'm sorry, or a text or whatever. Like, we don't do this. We're not taught this. No one ever told you when you were a kid, hey, Sally, way to lay on your bed and count the butterflies outside. Did they? They said, why didn't you make your bed? That's what we hear. We never hear how important it is to make sure that we are emotionally and psychologically refreshed every single day and continuing to do that throughout the day. Because I think we can all get up and do some yoga and feel great. And we're like, yay, today's the day I'm going to have an awesome day. And then, triple book meetings, the challenges of operating at this level hit you upside the head. And before you know it, now your day is gone kaputs and you're working till 9 o'clock at night and your family's on hold. So you've got to understand human behavior specifically because you're not average Jane. Average Jane could probably skate by without knowing this information. If you don't understand how you operate and how you tick and what really refreshes you, you will burn out and hit a wall. Like you just psychologically can't keep going at this level. And I bet there's a lot of parallels, JD, between, what we're talking about for, executives and doctors and successful women and athletes.
Yeah, absolutely, Kate. And in fact, masterful athletes would never dream of depleting themselves because what they understand is for them to have masterful performance that's actually sustainable, everything they do is tied into protecting their ability to perform. So they don't operate at an ad hoc approach. In fact, I remember one of the best/worst stories I had heard is this one athlete was talking about her recent Olympic experience. And she said, I thought just before, the night before my breaststroke event, she's a speed swimmer, she's like, I decided I needed to do a massage. So to your point, like a surface level strategy, because her legs were bugging her. The next day, she's like, I did the fastest race of my life without using my legs. Because it was an ill-placed strategy that wasn't based on understanding how everything comes together. So when we understand the foundation of how to get our needs met, and I love that you include the emotional part, because executives are taught to take emotion out of it. Well, how the heck do you do that? We're actually human beings. So when we understand how to get those needs met, then that's when we have true foundational change. And to your point, most executives, we end up doing that same ad hoc approach, right? It's I'm going to try time blocking. I'm going to try hiring an executive coach that's going to ask me questions about things I don't even know the answers to. And so we think we're trying all the right solutions, but it's not coming together. So we want to make sure we actually have a foundational plan and know what to base it on so we can actually move forward for true change.
Yeah. And I think that's what's really key too, is that understanding your own human behavior and how humans operate. Like this was really key for me because when Scott and I, my husband and I got back from the islands, I was left with this, like, what do I do now? Like, so I had all this success in corporate America. That did not lead me to happiness. Now I've lived in the islands, this simple life. I was still driving myself crazy. And now I missed my paycheck and the challenge of my job. And so how he and I attacked this whole dilemma, which is how do we live great lives? And we started studying, Scott, my husband's always been a philosopher. So he was coming at it from a philosophical, like what really makes a great life. And I was coming at it just as I've always been as a marketer. You're a student of human behavior. So I just continued to study human behavior. But this time, instead of studying like, how to get someone to look at your billboard on the side of the road or whatever you do as marketers, or, how to get someone to look at your ad, it was, how do we really operate and feel great? Like, what is going to give me a life when I look back at, when I'm 100 years old and go, Kate, well played. What do I need to feel? And what we've been taught is that it's just experiences. Oh, you need to travel to Paris, and oh, you need to, be, a size 0. And like, that's just what society's giving you. Like, if you don't understand what really fills your cup and you're not living authentically in alignment with that, and you don't understand how to grab it in bites and pieces as well as large moments throughout your day and your week and your life, it doesn't matter. You could sit down and just not even work and still lead an unhappy life. So, that's what really brings us into, I think, the third strategy, ladies, that we've got to understand. And that is, as a high achiever, as a driven, ambitious woman, like you and I, we tend to be lone wolves. We do not reach out for others for help. And when we do, often what happens is what? I cannot tell you how many times I reached out to a friend as I was coming up in my my executive career and was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Oh my gosh, I can't figure out this problem. And guess what everybody said? Oh, Kate, you'll figure it out. You always do. Like, we're always the strong ones. Like, even my husband, who is just the dearest, kindest man, he's never worked in this environment. He's never been in the business meetings and the board meetings and the challenging meetings I've been in. And so he's a good listener, and he certainly can come up with ideas. But I down in my core, I'm like, do I really trust his ideas? Not because I don't love him or think he's brilliant. He's never walked in my shoes. And so the third thing is, ladies, is if you're going to play at a high level, you have to surround yourself with other women who are playing at a high level the way you want to play. Because water cooler syndrome is real. We're talking about human behavior. As humans, we start to adapt to whatever environment we're in. So if you are hanging out with people who are working 24/7, they're workaholics, and they really are like, that's just the way it is, guess what? It's going to be really hard for you not to believe that that's the only way. At the same time, if you're like, well, in my home life, I'm hanging out with, a bunch of ladies who I love, but they don't work, or, they don't have like careers like I do, that's also going to make you feel guilty, because now you're going to feel like you're doing something wrong. And so you have to find a group of women who are excelling in their career, but they're excelling in life, and work with expert mentors who know how to get you there. I have made this mistake so many times when I walk out my door and I go ask someone who just seems like they've done something cool, and I'm like, hey, how'd you do it? And they tell me their experience, which is valuable. Like, I get that. I can filter through that and get some tips and tricks, but they don't know how to get me there. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. That's not what I need. I need a mentor who not only has walked in my shoes, but is able to get that result for other people. And that is really, really important, because it is like career suicide to go it alone. And as women, it's hard because it becomes very lonely at the top. There's not a lot of women. There's not a lot of women to look forward to. Like, a lot of my mentors, they were either in it with me, working 80 hours a week, or like I would have these mentors, these women who are, 10, 20 years ahead in their career. And they were like, tough luck, babe. We paid the price. You have to too. And I just felt like I had no one to talk to, no one who understood, and no one who could really guide me, which, that's why eventually I just hit a wall and walked away, because I couldn't figure it out on my own, And I think the key to that also is to remembering how quickly we need to learn, because without getting some evidence, and, Jadine, that's probably something maybe you can even touch on. If we don't have evidence that it's going to work, guess what happens to the human behavior mind? Oh, this isn't working. I'm going to go back to my old way, which was broken, but at least I know it worked.
You're so right, Kaden. Often people say they want to invest in change until that change becomes difficult and uncomfortable. And then they rationalize going back to old behavior, not because they know it's better, but because they know it. And that's why community is so important, and the right community, to your point, because community supports the emotional component of change. So if you are trying to change and go against status quo, you need to be surrounded by women who are ahead of you and who support you, especially because you're going against the tide. And to your point about athletes, you're totally right. There's no Olympic athlete ever who just goes and gets tips from other athletes, right? Like, what did you do here? How did you win that Olympic gold medal? They might get tips, but they would never, ever rely on that for creating their own individual performance plan and achieving their dreams. So for an athlete, when their dream is on the line, they will invest in working with the coach that they know will get them there. And they absolutely, without a doubt, need to know that it's a proven program. And when they believe in that and they're all in, that's when they reduce the spin and ensure that they're on the best trajectory to get what it is that they want.
For sure. I think there's so many parallels between really like what we teach and what I have come to know that I missed out as I was coming up into the executive ranks, and athletes. It's like, you don't go from high school, I'll just take basketball. You don't go from high school basketball to college basketball and you just dribble the ball harder. And you certainly don't go from college basketball to the pros and just dribble the ball harder. But ladies, this is what we're doing. And we see this over and over. I mean, we're working with senior managers to CEOs, all different ambitious women from different, walks of life and different arenas. And it's the same thing we see over and over. Women are we're bouncing the ball harder and harder and harder and harder. We're not stopping for the Gatorade. We're not stopping to understand how to work and pivot and work differently. We want the glory and the ease and the joy of the successful life, but we're not changing ourselves to get there. We're just expecting the environment to change. Like, when's my boss going to give me a break? Or when is my team actually going to know what they're doing so I don't have to step in and do the work for them? Or, when is my organization going to have a better culture? And that's like waiting for permission. Like, you cannot wait for permission. Like, you create the change and all of a sudden life gets really good. So let us recap really quickly what we've talked about on today's show. So how are you going to enjoy your success this year? First of all, you have to change your belief system. Like, if your belief system, if you're going to buy into this cultural meme, which says success has to be hard, be the hardest worker in the room, and then you'll deserve the success, that's ridiculous. Like, that has to go away. And that if that mindset is there, no matter what strategies you try, you will You'll blow yourself up because subconsciously you'll still be going towards like the hardest option. Okay. The second thing is you have to do what is uncomfortable, ladies, which is start mixing in getting your needs met. You've got to have your oxygen mask on. I'm not saying you have to prioritize yourself. I'm not saying you have to prioritize spa days and yoga and all that stuff. It's not what we're talking about. There are times when you need to work hard, but it cannot be at the cost of your human needs. You still need to be connected to your friends and loved ones. You still need to be getting your health need met. You still need to have autonomy and refresh your cup. And when you get really good at that, life gets really fun because you can make decisions quickly. You can effortlessly flow from one area of your life to the next, and you're no longer depleted. And then the third thing is you have to surround yourself with people who have done it, who know how to get you there, and who are going to support you there, because change is uncomfortable. And if you are looking to change and do it in a way that feels good because you think you know yourself so well and all that, like, it just doesn't happen that way. Like, it should feel uncomfortable because now you know you're actually creating real change. But if you're not surrounded by people who can get you there and get you there quickly, you're going to lose interest, you're going to lose hope, and you'll go right back to the old way of doing things, which just leads to burnout. And then you walk away, and we don't want that for you. We want powerful women in leadership roles, thriving, enjoying your life, and we want you to have the best year ever.
Another thing that's very important is athletes absolutely are looking for specificity. So in order for them to know they're investing their time and energy in their dream in a coach who's going to get them there, they're looking for somebody who they know has walked the walk and who has a proven track record of success. A synchronized swimmer doesn't hire a figure skating coach per se, or they don't hire a basketball coach. It just doesn't work, and it's not worth it. So a beautiful thing I know about working with you and Scott over the last year and getting to know you personally is you not only have created this philosophy, you live it. So you know how to teach to it, and you're actually making it a reality. So you're creating the pathway and the example for other people to be able to have access to this way of living while increasing their influence. So ladies, if you're looking for somebody who's ahead of you on the path and who has a proven track record of success, and there's a huge degree of authenticity, then you need to connect with us and let us have that conversation with you.
Okay, so if you are thinking, all right, this is my year, I am ready to stop suffering for my success, and I'm ready to up my game, right? And you're ready to really enjoy a successful career in life, we've got something very special for you. Our team has set aside time to speak with you personally in the next 48 to 72 hours about how you can apply all of these ideas to your career today. I'm going to give you a link. Go to that link, book a call to speak to our team. It's a 45-minute conversation. It's absolutely free. And on the call, we'll chat about what's working in your career, what's not, and what you need to do to operate with total freedom. It is confidential, and it is a rare opportunity, ladies, to speak to an expert who's walked in your shoes, who understands what you're dealing with. And the best thing is, look, if we can literally help you get to where you want to be, we can do it simply, smoothly, and quickly. So don't overthink it. And listen, if we're a good fit to work together, perfect. We're happy to share with you what that looks like. At the same time, if we're not, we have a whole host of resources we're happy to recommend you to. Either way, the women we talk to constantly tell us it's the best 45 minutes they've spent on themselves like in a long time. So go to goodlifeinstitute.org. That's .org/call. goodlifeinstitute.org/call. And ladies, I hope you've enjoyed the show. It has been great. Remember, you do not have to suffer in your success. Success can be a lot of fun, and it can be thriving. And we'll see you on the next show. Hi, thanks for tuning into today's show. If you want to subscribe, you can do that by clicking the little picture of me over there. If you want to book a breakthrough call, which you absolutely should do, you can click the button below or go to goodlifeinstitute.org/call to book an appointment to speak to us. I'll see you on the next show.